What's going on, everyone? I'm the OPJellicent, and I'm here to talk about my playoff matchup for season number 3 in the Ultimate Battle League. Just some backstory going into this game. I ended up finishing the first seed in the regular season at 8-2, and as a result I got paired up against the 8th seed, who is SilverBeanie, coach of the Crystal Palossands, who finished 6-4, and I'm actually very happy about this. The main reason being, I'm trying to battle as many people as I can before the generation ends, and I've never battled Silver before. I didn't battle him in any other leagues or in this regular season, so the fact that I get to battle one of the two coaches in this playoffs that I've never battled before is really great in my eyes right here, so it should be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and talk about the matchup. You can see his roster over on the right of your screen. You can see my 6 Pokemon at the top of your screen. Let's go ahead and talk about his Pokemon first. So starting Silver's roster off here, we have Garchomp. I think Garchomp is a great way for Silver to control speed. I think a Choice Scarf variant makes a lot of sense right here, as it would be able to threaten out Pokemon such as my Garchomp, my Cobalion, my Mega Latios, and my Excelgor, basically all of my faster threats, so that's definitely not surprising if he opts for that route. He definitely has to be really careful about my bulky responses though. For example, potential Hippowdon and Granbull. I've brought Granbull to multiple matchups just for specific dragon type Pokemon, and I'm sure he's going to know that, so he definitely has to keep that in mind right here. But my strategy against Garchomp is not to try to pivot into it. I just want to weaken it and get it in range of my Wincon as soon as possible. That's the goal right here. But it is also one of his 2 stealth rockers. I believe this and Cordelia are his 2 rockers right here, so he could use it for that as well, especially if he's expecting a bulky switch in. He could potentially get rocks up as I try to pivot in, and then maybe Swords Dance up and threaten me that way, which is why I don't want to use a bulky switch in to respond to Garchomp this week. So Garchomp just a big threat right here. He has Tapu Fini as well. Tapu Fini is definitely a great response to something like my Weavile, especially because I'm not Z-moved, so he could definitely run like a Fizdef variant to sponge poison jabs. It would also help out against my Mega Latios, however he does have to keep like Thunderbolt and Psychic Stab into mind, so I really think Tapu Fini is a bring right here. It's for sure going to come. It's just about whether he wants to go Fizdef or Spidef. It's definitely a great defogger for him too. If he sees all my offensive threats, he's going to know he wants to keep hazards off the field, so I think that Tapu Fini is going to be a defogger with a bulky spread right here. Araquanid is his first Z-move user right here. Waterium Z actually does quite well against my team because my 1 resist, well my 2 resists are Mega Latios and Manaphy, and neither of them really want to sponge the Leech Lives and just give it health back, so that's definitely going to be an annoyance to deal with. However, I definitely think Sticky Webs is an option too. The problem with that is, a lot of my best offense, being Crobat and Mega Latios against him, is immune to those Sticky Webs, so I don't know if he really wants to opt for that route, but who knows, maybe he will anyway right here just to slow down my threats such as Manaphy, Weavile, and Cobalion. You never know. He also has Darmanitan right here. Darmanitan is a great bring to this game. I think Choice Scarf has a lot of cleaning potential, however, he might also want to run Choice Band just because it could also go ahead and threaten Pokemon like my Manaphy. Sheer Force Flare Blitz does a ton of damage to even a very bulky Manaphy right here. I do have adequate fire resist though. I also have my Mega Latios, but what I don't want to do is switch into my fire resist and just constantly give it U-turn momentum. That's definitely not the goal right here, so I'm really going to have to call what attack he locks into, right? Whether it's U-turn or Flare Blitz. I'm really expecting a choice variant, of course, so that's the sort of situation right there with the Darmanitan. He also has Porygon 2. I'm not really too worried about Porygon 2. Cobalion doesn't really care about it, and as long as I have Toxic on several of my Pokemon, if I can get the Toxic off outside of Misty Terrain, I'll definitely be able to wear it down. I have ways to wall break it too, potentially Tail Glow Manaphy could go ahead and do that, as well as potentially like a Swords Dance or even just close combat from Cobalion, so I'm not overly worried about Porygon 2 in this matchup. Tornadus Incarnate is another Pokemon on his team. This is a second Pokemon I think he could run as a Choice Scarf user. If this is Choice Scarf, I think the rocks are definitely going to be on Garchomp because I really don't think Cordelia is that smart of a bring for him right here, so that's sort of a setup I'm expecting. Rocks on Garchomp and then Choice Scarf Tornadus side to go ahead and ensure he can outspeed stuff like my Mega Latios after a Dragon Dance, as well as my Crobat and my Cobalion, of course, even Choice Scarf Manaphy, which wouldn't be that terrible of a bring because he only has a few water resists, being Tapu Fini and Araquanid. I'm pretty sure Cordelia gets Storm Drain too, so he has adequate water resists, I guess, but I really think Choice Scarf Torn is the way to go, and then the Z is probably going to be on Araquanid, if anything. Zoroark is interesting because he could disguise it as a few things right here. I think leading Garchomp as Zoroark and disguising it as that is a very smart idea, just because he could go ahead and bait me to stay in with my Mega Latios. Now, obviously I would scout against both Garchomp and Zoroark, but there's really various things he can go ahead and disguise it as. Obviously, he might want to disguise it as something that takes the same amount of Stealth Rocks damage, so 12%. So something like Tapu Fini would definitely make a lot of sense right here, or even the Mega Manectric. That would definitely not surprise me at all. He also has Silvally, which I believe can run all types, so I'm gonna have to double check that, of course, but I prepped for all types Silvally, and parting shot momentum is great for him right here because he can get free switch-ins into his threats such as Darmanitan, Garchomp, while simultaneously lowering my offensive pressure with those stat drops, so that's definitely going to be very scary right here. But I think certain Silvally types that are geared towards taking on certain threats on my team, for example like a Silvally Ice just to help out against both my Weavile and my Crobat's offensive momentum right here, could be great for him because those are two really big threats against his team right here. Hitmontop is I think a great way for him to control hazards. Rapid Spin is great. My one way to prevent a Rapid Spin would be a Gourgeist, however, Gourgeist doesn't really have that great of a matchup right here. It's threatened out by a lot of his offensive threats, the Fire type move from Mega Manectric, which I'll talk about later, Flying Stab from the Tornadus, the Darmanitan's Flare Blitz of course, so I think that's a great pivot into Weavile of course, as well as my, potentially even my Cobalion, right? Assault Vest Hitmontop wouldn't surprise me with like close combat and Rapid Spin sort of thing, because it could also sponge my special type moves from Cobalion, like maybe +1 Z Focus Blast, so that's definitely a bring for him. Cradily is a great Stealth Rocker right here if he doesn't want to bring Garchomp, however, I really think Cradily's offensive pressure is really not right there. I don't know if it gets any setup options, it might get like Curse or something, but I'm not really all too worried about it right here. I have great ways to break it between Cobalion, Manaphy with like +3 Ice Beam, Weavile with its Stab Ice type attacks can go ahead and do a sizable chunk, so I'm not really too worried about Cradily. And then finally Mega Manectric, which this is probably its best way to control speed. It outspeeds my entire roster except for a Salgor, so it kind of puts me in a situation where I have to bring Choice Scarfers that can threaten it out, so I want to make sure that I control speed against that thing, but besides that, it's just going to be a pretty standard spread, right? He could run something like Toxic for my Hippowdon, but I'm really expecting like Volt Switch Thunderbolt, and then the Fire move, and then probably Signal Beam for my Mega Latios. That definitely wouldn't surprise me, and then he could just use like Tapu Fini or Araquanid as a pivot for Hippowdon. That would not surprise me at all, but as you guys will see right here when I go over my roster momentarily, well, my team of 6 Pokemon, I'm not trying to wall any of these Pokemon. I'm bringing a really offensive team because I really think that in the playoffs, when the stakes are so high, you really don't want to try to wall out your opponent when it's so easy to just get hacked out when you're trying to set up or when you're trying to click recovery moves. It really doesn't seem worth it the time. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and show off my team. Alright, starting off the playoff team right here, we have Labyrinth Crobat, which is my primary win condition going into this game. We have an Adamant Choice Scarf variant with Brave Bird, U-Turn, Defog, and Cross Poison. He has one Flying Resist on his team, barring any specific Silvally types, such as Rock or Steel, which is Mega Manectric, and I think I can really weaken Mega Manectric using Lures as well as Hazards, so this is a great late game cleaner against him right here. Obviously, Mega Manectric is not the only thing that I have to weaken. Garchomp is something I definitely want to weaken as well, especially if it's Rough Skin Rocky Helmet, because if I Brave Bird into that with an Adamant Nature and he's a Rough Skin Rocky Helmet, between that and the recoil, I'm going to take like 50%, so I really have to get that in range of Brave Bird before attempting to sweep with this thing, so as you guys will see with the rest of the team, I have specific ways to weaken both Garchomp and Mega Manectric, and ideally Crobat can go ahead and do its thing late game right here. Obviously I can use it as like a mid-game revenge killer if I need to, but I really want to preserve its health for the end right here. There's also a Defogger for this matchup just because it is immune to sticky webs. You never know when those will be useful to help out my Cobalion, Manaphy, and Weavile, which are all on the team right here, so that's really just a secondary strategy. U-Turn momentum is great here in two Pokemon such as my Weavile and Manaphy as well in the correct situation, so that's great, and ideally this can go ahead and do its thing late game. We have Cross Poison on there for the Tapu Fini as well, just in case I want to weaken that without taking a ton of Brave Bird recoil, so that should be nice, and let's go ahead and talk about my Manaphy. Next up right here we have Ultimate the Manaphy, which is running a Tail Glow 3 attack set with the Wakan Berry. I did mention weakening Mega Manectric is one of the keys to Crobat winning this game, and this is one of my great ways of luring that Pokemon. If I Tail Glow up on something and then knock something out the next turn, for example on Darmanitan, he may try to go Mega Manectric to revenge kill me, and I can go ahead and sponge whatever electric type hit he wants to use and go ahead and serve that for a lot of damage. Now obviously there is the possibility of him Volt switching out if he wants to go ahead and get momentum, however in that situation ideally I have Hazards up because he's going to have to be at 76% the next time he comes in anyway, and I'm going to get a +3 hit on something else coming in, so that situation's not even that bad at all. I also have a lot of HP and defense in this thing just because I want to be able to switch into Darmanitan every time. In fact, I can take 2 Adamant Choice Banded Flare Blitzes from Darmanitan, which is pretty insane to think about, but it can happen right here. And then of course I have a bit of Spit Off on there just to go ahead and sponge a Flynium Z hit from the Tornadus, like a Z Hurricane, even after Stealth Rock's damage, and then a bit of speed, because I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to speed creep this with the Tapu Fini, like a defensive Manaphy, and then tried to get the faster Taunt off, so that bit of speed right there could make the difference, because I didn't really need it anywhere else. The special attack isn't really going to be helping me out, and I already have enough defense, right? So the main idea here is try to pivot into Darmanitan and make sure I can try to lure the Mega Manectric. Even if I just get a neutral Surf off into the Mega Manectric, that could be game-changing damage for the late-game Crobat, so you never know right there. Let's go ahead and talk about my Cobalion. Okay, the third Pokemon I have on this team is Parade the Cobalion, which is running a mixed Stealth-Rocks variant right here. We have Volt Switch for momentum, Close Combat and HB Ice as our stab and coverage move, and then Stealth Rock. So getting up rocks in this matchup is going to be huge, just to weaken Pokemon such as Darmanitan and Tornadus immediately into my Choice Scarf, Adamant, Brave Bird. Immediately, obviously I did mention that I want to go ahead and weaken the Mega Manectric too, especially if he gets that Volt Switch off into my Manaphy and I don't get the Surf into it. Having hazards up is going to be key right here, but this is also one of my lures for the Garchomp. I did mention I really think Garchomp is a smart Choice Scarf user for him. With this, I can go ahead and Sponge Earthquakes and go ahead and hit him with the HB Ice, and after 1 HB Ice, he will be in range of that Adamant, Choice Scarf, Brave Bird if he is an offensive variant, which is great right here. Now, I also have a Jolly Nature because I really didn't want to reduce my defense, and then I have a bit of special attack in there just to make sure that my HB Ice can go ahead and 2-hit KO an offensive Garchomp on the off chance he's not Choice Scarf and, threatens me with 2 Earthquakes, because I really want to go ahead and get rid of that Pokemon and make sure that Cobalion can be in, not the Garchomp threatening me out. So that would be great right here. Volt Switch is great to go ahead and get momentum on Pokemon such as Tapu Fini. If I get up my rocks and he goes Tapu Fini to Defog, that Volt Switch chip could be great just for Pokemon such as my Mega Latios and Weavile, so I really value that right here. But the main plan right here is just to go ahead and get up rocks and get some damage on the Garchomp for Crobat. That's really Cobalion's job. It is also one of my better Zoroark responses. You may notice that I have a lot of HP and a good amount of Spit F in this thing, just to go ahead and sponge a Focus Blast from something like a timid Zoroark. Like if it's timid Choice Scarf, I can go ahead and take that right here, so in theory, this can go ahead and 1v1 any Zoroark, but if he's like modest Focus Blast with a Choice Scarf or like a Choice Specs variant as I come in, that could be pretty bad, but ideally I can go ahead and use this as some sort of response right there, but I'm not really counting on it because I'm, running a really offensive team. I'm not trying to switch into stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about my Mega Latios. Okay, unsurprisingly, Gateway the Mega Latios is also coming to our playoff game right here. I have a Roost 3 attacks variant. I don't want a repeat of whenever I bring a bulky setup Psychic type Pokemon, and it just ends up getting hacked out, so instead I just have a Roost all-out attacking set right here with Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Bolt Beam of course, and then Psyshock. I have Psyshock over the Dragon Stab just because I don't really fear Zoroark coming in, because if I Psyshock and know it's Zoroark, I have the defense to take like a Pursuit and I can go ahead and pivot into something like my Cobalion potentially, but what I don't want happening is Fini coming in, because Fini is not a Pokemon I really sponge hits from. I would have to pivot into something like Manaphy, and I really want to keep Manaphy healthy for that Mega Manectric lure, so if anything's coming in and being immune, I'm okay with it being Zoroark right here, but not Tapu Fini. And then of course we have Bolt Beam, which does great against this team right here. The speed tier is great against this team too. I believe I have enough speed for the Zoroark, so I can go ahead and outspeed that right here. If it's not Choice Scarf, I can go ahead and break the illusion, which would be great right here. I can also threaten out Pokemon such as Garchomp with the Ice Beam, but obviously I do have to be careful about the Dragon Stab. I do actually have enough defense to take a Choice Scarf Dragon Claw even after his Stealth Rock, so that's great right here, but I can't take a Choice Scarf Outrage. Now if he locks Outrage, that's fine, because I just got the free kill with another Pokemon, so I wouldn't really mind that, but I really don't want Mega Latios going down too early right here. It's a great breaker for my Crobat, which is the win condition. I can Thunderbolt into the Tapu Fini, weaken that for that Pokemon. I can fire off strong attacks into the Mega Manectric, and I do have a lot of HP just to help me take on Mega Manectric right here. In fact, I can take 2 super effective hidden powers even after Stealth Rock's damage, but what I can't take is 2 Signal Beams, so I definitely have to be careful about that. But yeah, just a great breaker right here, a good pivot. Let's go ahead and talk about my second real pivot this game being Rotom Heat. Alright, my second to last Pokemon right here is Roy the Rotom Heat, which is probably my closest thing to a pivot for this matchup. I know I just mentioned this is my second pivot, but I really view Mega Latios as a very offensive Pokemon. This is not really even a pivot, it's really here for dedicated checks to Tornadus and Mega Manectric, and I have the Charty Berry plus HP Ice because I really want to weaken the Garchomp like I said. What I'm expecting him to do is Volt Switch out with the Mega Manectric and bring in Garchomp on this Pokemon to get up rocks or threaten me out with Stone Edge, and I can go ahead and sponge anything and go ahead and weaken that with the HP Ice right here, but beyond that you can also go ahead and take hits from the Tornadus. I have a bit of defense on there just so I can take a random like Z Smackdown even after Stealth Rock's damage. Now, there are potential ways you can 2-hit KO me, for example like Expert Belt or Choice Specs super effective hidden powers, but if that's the case, he wouldn't be Choice Scarf, which is actually the set that I'm fearing more right here, so I wouldn't really mind that. And if this can go ahead and nail an HP Ice into the Garchomp, that would be amazing right here. Toxic is also great just to go ahead and wear down the Porygon too. Obviously, I have to, that's kind of situational right here because I have to make sure that Misty Terrain isn't up, and I'm assuming it will be throughout the course of this game, so I definitely want to be careful about that. Volt Switch momentum is great. I don't even fear Garchomp coming in, because if Garchomp switches into this thing on a Volt Switch, I just HP Ice it right after and not really care about it, so that would be totally okay. Finally, it is another Defogger that is immune to the Sticky Webs, so that could potentially be helpful for the same reasons as Crobat. Let's go ahead and talk about my final Pokemon. And finally here we have Greed the Weavile, which is also running an Adamant Choice Scarf variant. This is actually a Choice Scarfer that can outspeed Choice Scarf Garchomp and reliably revenge kill it, whereas Adamant Choice Scarf Crobat does not do that much damage with Brave Bird without prior damage on that thing, so that's vital right here. This can also outspeed potentially something like an offensive Choice Scarf Tapu Fini, which actually really threatens my team a lot. We have the Surf Stab for the Rotom Heat, Moonblast hits everything else, and then of course Ice Beam for the Crobat, so that's just something to watch out for. This is a failsafe for that. This is also a Choice Scarfer that actually threatens Mega Manectric. After the Intimidate, Cross Poison wouldn't do too much from Crobat, but even a -1 Icicle Crash from Adamant Weavile does do significant damage right here, so this could potentially be a backup win condition, but I'm not counting on it because Crobat looks so much more likely right here, but you never know, right? It's just great speed control all around. I wanted to make sure that I'm not in a situation where Mega Manectric outspeeds my entire team, because once everything's in range of that, it's going to be a bad time, so ideally this can go ahead and revenge that if necessary, and yeah, that's going to be the playoff team. The match will be going live in 24 hours from when this video went live, so tomorrow, Sunday at 10 AM Eastern Standard Time. I hope y'all are looking forward to that. I actually, of course, still have yet to play the game. I'm actually battling at 6 AM like tomorrow morning, so ideally I'm on top of my game, and even if we lose, it's still a great season. It doesn't get that much better than first seed, but that's obviously not the intention right here, so yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. Later.